So, the Pika review I've been hyping up for like, I don't know, like 2 months. It's finally here. Finally got to it. Mainly either from laziness, and I would have uploaded it last week if I didn't get like mortally sick. I don't know, bro. Everything just wants me to not bring this out, but I finally get to, and yeah. So I'm gonna go over every single aspect of this fruit, how good it is in every part of the game, in PvE, in PvP. I'll be rating it out of 10 in 4 different sections: leveling, bosses and sea beasts, dungeons, and finally PvP. For PvP, I'll be rating it out of 20 because I don't think it's fair for a fruit that's mainly for PvP to look bad because it's not great in PvE. So finally, let's go over Pika. But before I start with the actual fruit's ratings, I'm going to go over its kit. Move 1 is Light Lunge. It's a one-hit move that you can hold and lunges to wherever you aim and block breaks the opponent. It costs 25 stamina. Move 2 is Light Kick, a one-hit fast projectile that shoots to wherever you aim it. It also burns for 5 seconds and does not block break. It costs 65 stamina. Move 3 is Light Ray, a 83 hit movable holdable projectile that you can move wherever you aim it. It burns for 1 second and does not block break. It costs 78 stamina and drains by 3 every hit that you get. Move 4 is Light Flight, a mobility move that sends you wherever you aim it. Stamina cost starts doubling the longer you hold it, and the stamina starts at 1. And move 5 is Mirror Kick, a one-hit move that sends you into the air and moves to the place that you aim it. It block breaks and it costs 95 stamina. Move 6 is the ultimate move, Jewel of Light. It is a 57 hit move that you can hold. It sends you into the air when used. If you jump during it, you can cancel the jump, just to throw that in. It burns for 5 seconds. It does not block break. Its initial cost is 50 and costs 30 every hit that you hold. Before I start the PvE section, these are my stats. A similar one for PvP. This is the one I use for PvE mainly though. There's a couple little changes.
Baba Booey.
So generally in the game of GPO, you don't tend to have like a Logi or Legendary in the early game. But if you somehow get your hands on it, it's really good for leveling. You have multiple moves that can target multiple groups of enemies. Only issues is the high stamina cost. A lot of the time it costs quite a bit by the amount of listed before. So early on, if you have this, it's going to get annoying to kill max groups because you'll have one move. If you don't kill them in that one move, you're going to have to wait. But overall, it's still really good for aiming at large groups of people and things. You have the mobility option of Light Flight to go anywhere, to another island, to get away from something. If you are higher level, a lot of the issues that I even listed don't even matter. So yeah, needless to say, it's a 10 out of 10. It doesn't really have flaws other than the stamina cost early on, but again, it's just mattering later. So yeah, 10 out of 10 in terms of leveling. For normal bosses and sea beasts, I think it's the best fruit in the game. It does so much damage with the moves. Combined with the burn damage it does, you can start getting a lot of damage. Moves like Light Ray just sit there for free and rack up hundreds of damage, especially if you're like somewhere that the enemy cannot reach you. So you just put down a Light Ray and you just get tons of damage for free basically. You also have Kick to get the enemy away from you if they're not like, if the boss has like groups of enemies around it, or if the boss themselves can get pushed away. It still does a ton of damage as well, especially if they have a big body. You also have the ability to take aggro from your friends because of the burn damage, so you can kind of divert it to yourself and then just Light Flight away because you have such a free mobility tool to get away from the enemy. But yeah, overall it does a ton of damage. It's really stupid. It's so good for normal bosses. And for Sea Beast, it's the ideal fruit for it. It's beyond amazing. It's easily the best fruit for this. Just because all you have to do is get to the rough seas, place a boat, and then as soon as a kraken or a serpent, if you're fighting that, spawns, you just fly all the way back to the shore where your friends are at, and you can take it on. You can also solo with it since it does so much damage. The fact that you have flight and can get in and out of that rough sea as fast as you want, it's just so good. It does, and also does so much damage to the sea beast. If you have Pika, you can easily solo them. Again, it's just insane. It's easily a 10 out of 10. Honestly, I would give it like 11 or 12 if I could. But yeah, it's amazing. It's a 10 out of 10. Burger. For dungeons, it's pretty good. It still has like issues because it's not a move with like a stationary flight like Mara or Suna. So it has issues like every other fruit that doesn't have that. Mainly with the enemies. You have abilities to get out of there with flight. So you don't technically get the chances of you dying to the enemies is kind of low. You also have a lot of like AoE damage, and also have the ability to like on longer maps aim at the opponent from far away with kick and just kill them, so you don't have to walk all the way to the enemy. Um, like every other fruit, just jumping into the air can stop them from blocking. You have a good amount of options to do that. You also have a couple projectiles to just stop them. A lot of hits. Also against bosses, it's pretty decent. It's not the best again, but like because it doesn't have a one-shot option, but it's still good. You still do a lot. You still do a lot of damage. Things like the ult do a ton of damage. So if you're able to get the boss in a corner or something, or get them away from you, you should be fine. Overall, it's solid for dungeons. It's not insane or anything, but it's probably like a 8 or a 7, somewhere in that ballpark. I'm gonna give it an 8. It seems pretty decent. It's pretty decent, but yeah, it's nothing like to write home about. There's a couple fruits better than it, but overall, it's still pretty good. So PvP and Pika, I think a lot of people know that it's mediocre at best. It has a lot of issues. I'm gonna highlight that in this section. I have two different sets, Blackleg and Pika main. You could do a sword set. I'm not saying there isn't a way to do one. You can. I just think that if you're gonna run this in the ways that I think you're gonna run it, just run it Blackleg or Pika main. It's not worth your time to invest in the sword when you need the amount of points you need to get its damage out when you could just get it from Pika. It's just not worth it in my opinion, but you can make it work. If you are any good at perfect blocking, if you fought this thing in PvP at any point, this thing is a joke. It's kind of a free win. Moves like Ray are just completely unusable in PvP. Since they leave you completely wide open for attack. Kick isn't a guard break. Light mirror kick is pretty decent as a guard break, but like landing it in PvP is impossible because they just run away. There's nothing stopping the opponent from just gappling, so it's like really annoying. If the opponent has like two-sword style and they have like no mobility, or like Fishman Karate, they have a very hard time fighting it. But it's not because it's kind of combo them, it's going to do a lot of damage to them. It's just because they can poke and run. Which, if you're going to do like a Pika main build, I would recommend you just run, man. As much as people will slander you for it. Just throw up projectiles, run, you should be fine. It's not amazing, again, because again, it doesn't really have much combo potential. The best things you have is Light Lunge, which is a pretty good guard break. But again, if you're any good at perfect blocking, you can also perfect block that. All of its moves are like easily perfect blockable. A lot of them are very telegraphed. It's kind of sad, but like that's just how it is, man. It doesn't really have good PvE. I mean, it doesn't really have a good combo starter, combo ender. Again, the best you have is Lunge, and if your Lunge gets perfect block, that's over. But yeah, if you're gonna play with this thing in PvP, I would recommend playing lame and just like running and throwing up fat projectiles that do a ton of damage. But yeah, Pika's just whatever. It's not the best secondary. If you're cracked, you can do some things with it, especially with flight and stuff, being able to extend very weirdly. But yeah, overall, it's not good. I also give it the fact that it does have a TP dash, which is quite nice. It helps a lot, especially since you don't have to rely on Rokushiki. But if you're good with flight combos, I would use it. It's not insane, but if you're like the average person, this thing is terrible for the most part. It's not good. If you're but yeah, I'd say it's a 7 out of 20. It's 7 to 10 out of 20. It's just not good, man. It's probably like the worst legendary in PvP. I think like every other legendary has a much better PvP chance than this thing. I just think it sucks. I'm gonna say it's an 8 out of 20. You can say, I mean, you can increase that, lower it. I just don't think it's like anywhere near close to any other legendaries. And there are much better options with even rares if you want to focus on PvP. But overall, its PvP isn't amazing. It's just not good. So overall, for PvP and PvE, it's getting a 36 out of 50. It's easily the best PvE for just because of flight, mainly because of that, and it's high damage. It's just really good. Again, its main problem is with PvP. That's why its score is so low in comparison to what you would think it would be. But if you're a PvE main and you have no other interest in PvP, if you have no interest in PvP, I would highly recommend eating Pico. Although 36 out of 50, although it's a 36 out of 50, I'm still going to give it an A tier because of its dominance in PvP. In the future, it has some high potential with that Battle Royale mode we're probably going to get sooner or later. It could be really good because of flight, but that's like speculating if you're allowed to use your fruit in there. So I don't know. But yeah, overall, it's pretty good. Again, just lacking in PvE. But yeah, It's a good fruit. I'd recommend it. So yeah, well, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Also leave suggestions for future videos. And yeah, I'll spin the wheels. Check what the next review is. Although I rolled that wheel like months ago, so you'll see in the video what it is. And I am not looking forward to it. I remember recording this segment because when I rolled last time, it was like during the Halloween update, so I'm gonna do it now again because it was Bari, and I don't really care to do Bari right now. I mean, I would if it got rolled again, but I kind of want to do it again, so I'm gonna do it again. All right. Oh, you're there's. This is a joke. This is a joke. You know what? I'll do it. It's gonna be like 5 minutes. It's gonna be me. All right. I mean, I'll do it. I'll do it. Suffering, pain. But I'll just do. I'll do it. I'll do it. Man, Suke review next. I'll see y'all there, hopefully. Man, I'm gonna wait 6 months to make it again. God damn.